Good morning. Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm here with David Grant Roberts, CEO of Yorkshire Brain Tumour Charity. How you doing, David?
I'm doing well. Yeah, much better for the sun in the sky. So all
Yeah,
very positive.
yeah. Spring is in the air and all that. Much better. So thanks very much for joining us this morning. As always, if you could give us a bit more background as to who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it for, please, David.
So I'm David. I am the CEO of Yorkshire's Brain Tumour Charity. Joined the charity in 2023. Before that, I worked for a mental health charity for 4 years, and then before that, I had my own business for 12 years. Um, but moved into the third sector in 2019, and
Mhm.
haven't looked back. Really, just love it.
Excellent. So what was the inspiration for the change, I suppose, from your own business into the charity sector?
Yeah. Well, I started volunteering for an organisation called Crisis Text Line.
Mhm.
You may know it as Shout.
Mhm.
And if people are in mental health crisis, then they can be connected with a crisis counsellor who can kind
Mhm.
of via the medium of text kind of coach them through that difficult time. And then so I started volunteering in my own time to do that. And I just found that I was actually like looking forward to that a lot more than my day
Mhm.
job, that kind of sense
Yeah,
of fulfillment.
sure.
And then I saw a job advertised for somebody to manage a local crisis service, but they really
Mhm.
wanted somebody with the business skills who could apply those to
Yeah,
the charity setting. So it just kind of felt meant to be.
yeah,
And I certainly feel that the business side of things has given me a real kind of set of skills that I can apply in this sector. But I feel like I have kind of more fulfillment day to day working in this
sure.
sector and knowing that we're helping people.
Yeah, definitely like an alignment between your
Yeah,
skill set and perhaps, the reason why you did what you did before was building up
yeah.
to come into to do this to transfer those skills. What I just out of interest, what was it you were doing before with your own business
It
that you
was a
trans?
like a facilities management company, so we did things like builders cleans for construction firms, like high level pressure washing, that sort of thing. So
Yeah,
yeah, complete change really.
great stuff. So now then, in terms of your, I suppose, charity journey, sometimes we call it a business journey when we have business owners on, but your leadership journey with the charity, what's that been like since you've joined? 2023, you joined, is that right?
Yeah, I joined Yorkshire Brain Tumour Charity in 2023, and the charity was going through quite a difficult time. So,
Mhm.
and there was a bit of a deficit for that year. So my first kind of order of business was to turn around that deficit. And the chair at the time said, "Can you?" But before she sort of offered the job, she sort of said, "I just want to be really transparent. This is the situation. Can you turn this around, do you think, before the end of the year?" And that was in August.
Mhm.
So I said, "Oh, do you mean the financial year, as in like by April of next year?" And she said, "No, the calendar year." And I said, "All right." So
A challenge set.
I said, "I think I can do it, but I think I better start next week." But we did it. We did it.
Yeah, excellent. So what kind of I suppose how did you get to pull it around? What was the immediate thinking, I suppose,
Yeah.
drawing on your
Well,
skills that you had?
Well, just I suppose to give you guys a bit of a plug, really. Like
Mhm.
when I had my own business, I did do a program with Action
Mhm.
Coach, and some of those things I've learned I have actually carried forward into my career. You'll be pleased to hear. And I think it was around that, certainly around like the marketing strategy. I put an
Mhm.
income generation strategy in place and made sure that I kind of had more than 10 campaigns running at the same time, and then just really tracked what was working,
Yeah.
and continued with what was working, and if it wasn't working, replaced it with something else really. So that's something that I have really carried forward into my kind of daily working life. But also I think just the emphasis on, like, the compound maths. So it's
Mhm.
not just looking at, for example, if you're looking at donations, not just looking at like the value or sorry, the volume of donations, but also looking at the value of the typical donation and what we could do to potentially increase that. Um,
Mhm.
Such as probably a lot of people who do one-off donations to the charity had never actually been asked, do you
Yeah.
want to do like a regular donation? Would you be up for doing like a monthly one? Um, so yeah, so just trying to maximize people's ability to make donations to the charity and make that process as seamless as possible.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's kind of a test and measure case, and then
Yeah,
what can you do with the same level of, I suppose, effort that you're doing before, but just tweaking a few things that provide longevity and a funding base that are similar to
yeah,
many businesses, really, or organizations, just to tweak a few things that can make a big difference.
yeah. I mean, even like a lot of people were saying, I think early on in the job, some of the first emails that we got to the general email address were things like people saying, I want to make a donation, but I can't find the details, sort of thing. So, like, there was a few quick wins there. It was just literally a
Yeah.
case of, like, let's make this process as easy as possible. And it was quite interesting, looking at like the income strategy,
Mhm.
income generation strategy in comparison to how you would do it in a business sector because obviously it is different from, for example, like a services or a sales-based industry,
Mhm.
but a lot of the principles are the same, really.
That's it. It's whether you're a business or a charity, you kind of the core aspects of what you do to strip away, I suppose, some of the purpose stuff, which you don't obviously want to do, but generating money and making money
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
ultimately to be
definitely.
able to have that foundation and to exist to do the purpose-driven work. So
Yeah,
it's just as important, really, to get that
yeah.
right. It's fantastic.
And
So
I
what have
think,
you? Sorry, go
oh,
for it.
sorry, I was just going to say, like in the charity sector, I think sometimes, people can feel afraid about like ask or nervous. Afraid is probably not the right word. A bit nervous or tentative about asking people about donations because um, a lot of people are in the charity sector for the reasons of wanting to help people and make sure we can deliver those services. But the reality is that without that solid financial base, we're not able to help people. So the two do have to go hand in hand. It has to be sustainable.
Definitely. So, what are the income streams that work well for you?
Well, we don't get any government funding,
Mhm.
and the brain tumours are sadly the biggest killer in terms of the different cancers. They're the
Mhm.
biggest killer of children and people under 40, but unfortunately only receive about research into brain tumours only receives about 2% of the annual government spend. And as I say, like charities like ours don't actually get any government funding, so it can be a challenge.
Sure.
But I realized very early on in the role that we have like a really strong community. I think when the charity have helped people in their hour of need, really, those people can often form a very loyal attachment to the charity and they want to kind of give back in any
Yeah.
way they can. After that point. So we do really well with community fundraising, people running all sorts of different things, cake stalls, quiz night.
Yeah.
People can be really like creative, like gig nights, all these sorts of things.
Yeah.
We run, purchase places in like your active events, such as your Great North Run,
Mhm.
your Leeds half marathon, that sort of thing and people can be really sort of passionate and supportive in terms of running for the charity in those. Um, Corporate is a big area for us. We
Yeah.
have done quite well in the last couple of years with some excellent corporate partnerships.
Mhm.
And for example, one was Becky's and Taylor's of Harrogate recently.
Oh yeah.
And that was fantastic. But what really struck me is chatting to, we did a little bit of a video like interview at the end of the partnership,
Mhm.
and um, Sarah was saying that it really it was a real two-way process because it united colleagues behind
Mhm.
like the set cause. So the way they
Yeah.
do is they go to colleagues and sort of say, right, we'd like to have a charity of the year partnership. Who would you like to partner with? And all the staff kind of vote, put the case
Mhm.
forward, and then when it's decided, the staff all kind of unite behind that cause. And she was saying that like it gives people across the organisation a chance to work together, whereas they might be in different departments normally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that kind of united camaraderie really improves morale. So I found that really interesting to listen to how
Nice.
it's that two-way process that they're helping us as a charity, but also working
But
in
yeah.
partnership with
Yeah.
us. It's
Yeah.
helping their team morale and of course it helps the corporate sort of social responsibility
Sure.
profile of the
Brilliant.
business.
What kind of thing did they do for the partnership? What did the team get behind?
Sarah was saying that you have no idea like the talents that colleagues might have
Yeah.
until you come to things like this. So she was saying there was like people doing like arts and crafts. Um, I think they had a bit of a talent show. I think they might have even had a dance, I think she said. Then they
Mhm.
had a bake sale, and things like a Christmas, like a Christmas jumper day, those
Yeah.
sorts of things. So, yeah, but she said there's people who she'd worked with for about a decade and she didn't realize, and then they've just got this like hidden talent that they've pulled
Yeah.
up. So,
That's great because it's a real opportunity to, I kind of, I don't know, embrace another side of people that, as you say, you
yeah,
don't see at work, but kind of draw out of them their creative aspect, which personally I believe that we all have, and perhaps there's a hell of a lot more opportunity to be doing that, especially in this day and age than we currently kind of do or is encouraged because of the structure of work or society and that kind of thing. But perhaps that's another podcast interview for
yeah,
another
yeah.
day.
But
But yeah,
reading some recent research, I was really interested that I think it was over 50% of businesses have never been asked if they would like to partner with a charity for this
wow,
sort of arrangement. So I suppose knowing that you go out to a lot of business owners, so I'm just going to
yeah,
say,
yeah,
would you like to partner
yeah,
with a Yorkshire-based charity such as ourselves? Because um, I think it can be a fantastic partnership because we then invite the business and all their team to all of our events and
sure.
share their details on our social media and our website. So it's very reciprocal, I would say.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, definitely, it's a platform and opportunity to do that. And you said the benefits of just kind of teamwork and getting people together and having that camaraderie to get behind a cause and bring
Yeah,
out some hidden talents and put
yeah,
a smile on people's faces is can only be a good thing.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
what kind of work do you do then when in terms of using your funds?
Well, we support and research, so two elements to it, and that's that's what they're the main objects of the charity. So some of the higher profile brain tumor charities do things at advocacy as well,
Mhm.
which we're happy to. We work very collaboratively with the other charities in this space, so we love hearing what they're up to and trying
Mhm.
to get behind their efforts. But it's not a core. The advocacy is not a core part of what we do. It's I think again, realised very early on taking over the charity that we had to play to our USP,
Yeah.
and we had to decide what our identity was and what we do really, really well and focus on that. And then more than happy to signpost to other charities in the space if
Sure.
it's something we don't do, but we know that they specialise in.
Yeah.
And what we do really well is it's that community feel in terms of the support. So we have 15 peer support groups all over Yorkshire,
Mhm.
and it's a space where people can meet others who are going through a similar sort of thing.
Mhm.
And the feedback we get from those groups is so powerful because people have said it's really transformative. We did a recent survey and every person said after attending a group they felt like more supported and less
Sure.
isolated.
Nice.
Um, so people kind of talk about the like really powerful effect of speaking to somebody who just gets it when you don't need to explain everything, and
Yeah, yeah,
you don't, you just feel understood. And somebody recently said she felt, as soon as she found the charity, she felt it was like a safe blanket of like comfort around her. So
yeah,
that was obviously really music to my ears, because that's exactly what we're
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to provide. Um, and then in terms of research, we invest in research, but our budgets aren't as high as the huge
Mhm.
research organizations. But we invest in pump priming projects. So that's, and of course we do it with a local focus, being a
Mhm.
Yorkshire-based charity. So in places such as, for example, at the moment, we're supporting a project at the University of Sheffield and one at the
Mhm.
University of Bradford. And it's an early concept idea that a researcher's had, where they want to get the funding to hopefully prove their concept. And then
Mhm.
after proving the concept, they can go out and get like more funding, from the bigger players. So that's again a strategic way of us um, making sure we can hopefully have a large impact with our smaller sort of local regional budgets.
Fantastic. And it sounds, in terms of the kind of array of things that you're involved with, very rewarding and quite different. So, what does it involve you doing day to day, David?
Well, I mean, we have a staff team of 5 people, and we have
Mhm.
75 volunteers. So we are, we rely on our volunteers. I often say we're like proudly powered by
Yeah, yeah.
volunteers. Um, And that's
Nice.
something that makes us really special, because that lived
Mhm.
experience voice just runs through everything we do. But
Yeah.
as you would imagine, with a staff team of 5, I do tend to wear quite a few different hats. So
Yeah.
so somebody on LinkedIn recently saying about CEOs, like what's the most like random kind of thing that you've done. And I was just saying, like, I definitely could be like, as well as my title, I could be called like sink fixer, decorator, floor cleaner.
All hands on
Like,
deck. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely, yeah. So some of it hasn't been the most glamorous, but I don't mind
Yeah.
getting my hands dirty, so that's fine. But
Well, that's it.
yeah, but obviously on the more sort of strategic side, I we have an excellent team. We have a great finance manager, great fundraiser, great support lead, and a great administrator as well. So I'm kind of working with them to implement our strategy moving forward. And I think I mentioned earlier about 2023 and us having a bit of a deficit. We really had to like reset and think we can't
Mhm.
be all things to all people. It's a really
Yeah.
challenging financial environment. Let's have a really tailored strategy, and let's just focus on putting solid foundations in place and building from there. And we have done that, yeah. And certainly recently, I've seen a big increase in the amount of support referrals we're getting.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited where we can sort of take it over the next couple of years.
Fantastic. Good sign, obviously, in terms of
Yeah.
when you get referrals, you know that things are working for you. So, in terms of challenges, opportunities in your sector, what do you see as those at the moment?
Sorry, can you just say it again? Just broke up then.
Sure, the challenges, opportunities for your sector in what you do.
Yeah. Well, I think the challenges is that overall giving is down.
Right.
In terms of the research around, if you chat to people like last year, for example, and I haven't got the exact statistics to hand, but if you in a recent survey about how many people donated to charity last year compared to the year before and the year before that, there is a bit of a downward trend at the moment, which is possibly reflective of the kind of wider economic
Yeah.
context. Um, so that's a challenge. Um, there's a lot of charities in the space. And then what by that I mean a lot of regional charities in Yorkshire, but also a lot of charities in the brain tumour space. I suppose that could be a challenge, although we found the way to mitigate that is to work really collaboratively. And
Mhm.
that has then resulted in opportunities as opposed to
Yeah.
challenges. Um, I suppose opportunities, the legacy sort of market, if you want to call it that, is a real opportunity area. More
Mhm.
and more people are thinking about, would they like to leave a part of their estate to a charity, to pass away.
Yeah.
Um, Again, a lot of people have never been asked. So it's a case of,
Mhm.
I think, just increasing awareness that that is something that we are happy to support with.
Sure.
Um, and I think just as with a lot of businesses, it's about like diversifying the income
Mhm.
portfolio to minimize like the overall risk.
Yeah. Fantastic. Good summary there. Thanks, David. Appreciate it. I might have kind of put you on a bit of the spot there with the challenges and opportunities, but you've listed some really good aspects there. So, in terms of yourself, then, and it may seem like an obvious question, but in terms of the inspiration for you to do what you do, in your own words, what is that? What do you kind of get out of it, and the reasons for getting up each day and going to work?
Yeah, I think it's such an important cause,
Hmm.
and there's a real disparity between the typical sort of health outcomes, and treatments that haven't really changed. That there hasn't been a new medication, chemo medication introduced that will support brain tumors, I think, for about 40 years. So, um, and when you sort of see firsthand on a daily basis, the struggling that people are going through, but then
Hmm.
you look at that compared to the progress or kind of lack of progress, really. Um, you realise that if it wasn't for charities like ours banging the drum, then like who would be really? So
Hmm.
we need to collectively continue banging that drum, but also we need to be there for people.
Sure.
Most people I speak to sort of say, that the clinical side really being on it when it came to the medical side of the diagnosis, but there wasn't really any support for the mental health side of it,
Hmm.
which is obviously very significant with such a life-changing
Yeah.
diagnosis. So that's what we're there for, really. And myself and my colleague Amy provide like welfare calls to families. We provide like financial advice,
Hmm.
just like a safe space where people can pick the phone up and kind of
Yeah.
vent about what's going on for them. So, and like a recent family just sort of described the charity as like a hand in the dark through what was such a
Hmm.
difficult time. So, I mean, we actually we've been nominated for the King's Award for Voluntary Service for because of the amazing impact that our volunteers have. And we
Yeah.
met with the assessors last week, and I asked a couple of the volunteers and a couple of the group attendees to come in, and it was just so powerful hearing them chat to the
Hmm.
assessors. And they were just sort of saying they're just like one lady after her operation, she couldn't sort of get out of the house and was feeling really low. And then she heard about the group and she targeted that in her mind as the goal for like the first time to get out of the house after the operation.
Yeah.
And she managed it and then met this amazing community of people. And in her words, it's kind of turned her life around after the devastation of the surgery. So when you hear
Yeah.
things like that, it for me, it's no struggle to get out of
Yeah.
bed because it's just
Yeah.
think, well, like, that's incredibly like rewarding, and it's a privilege to do this job, really.
I like that in terms of that summary, the privilege. But yeah, what a fantastic that you're doing in terms of that trusted connection and support for people that otherwise, where would they go really?
Yeah.
Be extremely tough. So thank you for sharing that. In terms of any advice for people who want to get into the sector, then David, perhaps even I don't know, looking back to yourself if you were 18 or if someone wanted to come into the charity sector, based on your experience, knowing what you know now, what piece of advice could you offer?
I'd say volunteering is so important, because I mean I've done three lots of volunteering. I volunteered with Yorkshire Mesmac, and that was more looking at like the kind of marketing side around what they were doing for social media. Then there was the volunteer crisis counsellor for Shout, and
Mhm.
then I was also a volunteer counsellor for Cancer Support Yorkshire. Um, I think it helps you to get a real picture of what sort of things like you enjoy
Mhm.
doing in the charity sector, and of course it
Yeah,
looks much better on the CV to have had that experience. I think certainly it can help to open the doors in terms of like that recruitment process. Um,
sure.
but yeah, I think sort of it really helps as well if it's a cause that is close to your heart that you feel like naturally sort of passionate about. And one of the things we do is we always ask volunteers when they first express their interest, what is their why? Because I'm a
Mhm.
big believer in it has to be two-way, like they have to get something out of it. So if we can know their why, then hopefully we can help
Yeah,
make sure all our
that's
volunteers get something out of it as well.
brilliant. Good share, good piece of advice. Thanks, David. Then lastly, if people get in touch with you before we end the interview, and if they're keen to partner or to donate, or any latest news about what you're up to, where people can join you, feel free to share that now.
Yeah. Um, well, so our website is www.yorksbtc.org.uk, and I would just encourage people to go and have a look because we've got such a variety of events that have been
Mhm.
planned. So I think that one of the first things is to have a look through those because there may be something that really piques people's interest. But also having a look at the volunteer section of the website because I think a lot of people think a volunteer might be somebody who's shaking a collection tin at an event, which we do often need, and that's great. But recently, we've been working with some organisations who've been providing like skills-based volunteering,
Mhm.
um, and that's been quite transformative for the charity. So I worked with somebody from Hippo Digital who specialised in search engine optimization, and he was able to help me like go through the website and change the all the descriptions and everything for the SEO, and I can see a real link between that work that we did last summer and the increase of support
Yeah,
referrals we're getting now because they're all the
yeah,
majority coming through from Google. So I'd just say as well, if anybody's, sat with a real kind of skills based and I think, well, in my spare time, I'd love to use those skills to help a charity, then we'd absolutely be all ears to that. And as I say, just no like obligation in terms of the partnership, but it would just be nice to meet local businesses really and just
sure.
have a coffee and just
Yeah.
find out more about what they do as well.
Brilliant. Like that. And the volunteering kind of coming in what you already do, but whether it's an hour of your time just to increase a
Yeah,
conversion rate that could have
yeah,
a legacy effect for a couple of years of generating money. And what did that take?
yeah.
An hour or two of helping with websites. That's a fantastic kind of way of seeing opportunity to volunteer. So again, let's
Yeah,
share. I'll have a look at the website. There's some inspiration going off in my mind as well. So all
no,
good.
that sounds good.
Thanks, David. Been a real pleasure talking with you, and I wish you
You
all the
too.
best for the success of the next few years.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me.